Mike wants to watch Rob get upset today on the Manspace. Welcome to the Manspace podcast. We're your hosts, Doctors Matt Brown and Rob Porter, and clinical therapist Mike Porter. Welcome, Spacemen, to an episode where Rob will probably rant, and Mike apparently will enjoy it.
You should have said all that with your teeth clenched.
Rob will probably rant. I just had a couple this morning, actually, where, amazingly, she asked him something, and he gave this response through gritted teeth. He's like, no, I think we're good. I was like, was that on purpose? What just happened? Why are your teeth gritted?
We are fine.
Hey, as a side note, it's not a side note. It's a reminder. It'll be, I put the link up for this is episode 199.
Oh, so are you coming?
Yeah, I have to move a couple people around, but I think I can do it pretty easily, so I'll be there because we got to be in person.
So we get to look right into each other's eyeballs.
I know. I told, so the link is on last week's episode, and then it's on today's episode as well, which actually won't help us.
Since it'll drop next week.
Yeah, it drops the same day we're recording this.
Yeah.
Well, so check it today or a week
and I'll
ago.
I'll go post on at least my Facebook page. We'll get stuff from that. It's what I asked, just what could each of us improve, and then I asked, what would you like to hear more of? And then I said, are there specific things? Trying to give people the opportunity to say, hey, what happened? What do I do with this? Like, ask questions about, so we can farm it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we just hear the rants in Rob's head about why. Because actually, my sister's heard multiple of these rants this week.
Lately?
I keep going off on them. But it's funny because when I was talking to, like, she knows that we're doing this sharing feedback with each other, and she's like, I'm nervous for that episode.
Why is she nervous for it? She doesn't have to sit here.
Well, she's like, what if someone's feelings get hurt? I was like, no, I said, part of what we're trying to accomplish is like this. It's modeling a process of like, hey, this isn't going to be comfortable, but I trust you enough to do this with you. Like, you're a person who knows me really well, so you can give me feedback. And even if it's like, yeah, I know that. But sometimes, I mean, it could be that it's something I haven't thought of that you guys could say to me. I still think I know the thing in my head, but it's probably just the thing that I think.
I was going to say, I think you've thought about this more than all of us collectively.
It's funny. It's the same. I say that, but I actually haven't thought about this thing except for when you very first proposed it. I was like, I know exactly what it is.
I didn't.
Exactly what it is for you, or exactly what you were going to say about
you guys,
us?
about me. Like, I was like, I know what you guys will tell me.
I don't think you do, man.
I don't think I do. I'll tell you what I think it is at the end.
Well, don't do that. That's a spoiler, because then if that's it.
No. I mean,
next
week.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not gonna steal anything. I want to hear, like, if it is the thing I'm thinking, then I think, cool. Then I know that this is a thing that's like, okay, that's apparent to people. If it's not, then it's like, well, I want to hear the other things.
Yeah.
It's just an uncomfortable idea, but we'll get into it. It's exciting.
He said that with gritted teeth.
I think Jenner's more excited about this than I am.
Oh yeah, Jenner's like, finally, someone's going to tell Mike the stuff I've been trying to tell him.
I was going to say, I hope it's not just like super underwhelming. Like,
no,
hey man, I think you need to lift more weights.
Like, I think you do to shave off like 50 pounds. No, that's, to her, she just likes the idea of the three of us kind of modeling, like,
yeah,
here's how you have a conversation like this. It's possible. It doesn't have to be weird.
Yeah.
And so I think she likes that idea of kind of putting it out there.
Mm-hmm. Landscape crews here.
Oh, I can't hear him.
Okay, good.
That's like outside my office when it's like kids are playing. People are like, is there children somewhere around here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking, I started moving into our topic already in my head. Here's the thing I'm going to rant about, Spacemen. Because Rob's cutting to the chase. I'm anticipating that's going to be some of the feedback, so I'm just acting like I'm already incorporating the feedback from people, not you. That was a burp. I saw this ad, and I'll tell you, I saw this ad. Oh, this is going to tie into lots of things. It wasn't an ad. It was an Instagram reel, but it said something like, "This is what peer pressure should look like." And there's a dude in the locker room, and he's walking over to another dude and says, "Man, I was on a date with this girl last night, and I was trying to get to third base." And the guy goes, "Oh man, third base, that's my favorite, where she talks about her hopes and dreams." He's like, "What? No, third base, where she takes off and he's like, her masks, and she finally lets us see the real you, or the real her." And he's like, "Huh?" The other guy comes in, he's like, "Oh, I just love, like, last night, me and my girl, we like really got into it. We just shared all our feelings with each other. It was really close, and it was just amazing." This guy's like, "What?" And then they go over and they look at this centerfold. I told you guys this, but they pull out this big, and it's all big and tall. Some bad acting in it too, but and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's nice. It goes all the way down." And the guy walks over. He's like, "Oh, that's what I'm talking about." He gets in the middle. He's like, "What? This is all words." And it says, "Listen to her." And he's like, "My favorite one is there at the bottom where it says, 'Resolve conflict peacefully.'" Oh, I love that. And here's the thing: it's like, I'm on board with this. Like messages for men. Like, I think, no, I agree with all that. It's a funny way of trying to get you to look at this differently. Like, hey, speak more respectfully and actually see how you can change yourself. But I was like, there's no way there's a female equivalent of that video of like, this is how you be better in relationships, women. We don't tell women to be better in relationships. We've talked about this multiple times on this podcast. There are, it happened. It's been a full morning, but it did happen this morning. When I was working with somebody, and he's trying to describe something about how he's really just saying, this was a hard thing for me for years. And she immediately got pissed at him. And then actually, we had to do grounding stuff. She started to have like a panic attack. Like I was like, we got to stop. You're like checking out on me. Like I'm losing you. And she's like, "I was trying to take deep breaths." I was like, "That was good. I saw that, but we got to do a little more." Like, so we did some grounding stuff, and she calmed down a little bit, but still not. So I think the only place I'm going with this is thinking, and I mean, Matt, you can share the thing that you were sharing too, but I feel like it really bothers me because it's, like, my sister was asking this question about how do we change this culture of around sexuality and like sexual assault and rape, where it's like, she said, "I've heard men say it is hard, for young men. They're told and kind of taught or something that, like, when you see a woman dressed quote unquote provocatively, then I think men feel like something like they can go and take that." And I was like, I don't think it's that way. I think that they see something they want, and then the intense emotion kicks in. And then it gets really, I was like, then it gets really gray. It shouldn't be, but it is. It does get gray, like where, it's, we do get messages. It's like consent matters, but also maybe it's not clear when she's giving consent or isn't giving consent. And then at the same time, we're telling women you're sexually empowered. But then men get these confusing messages. It's like, well, I want you to be strong and manly, but not that way, or just. And I'm not trying to steer into a place where any type of sexual assault is okay, but I mean to say, like, I think men get these messages of be this way. Like, for example, this thing is like be soft and care about our sensitive feelings. But then they'll also get ones where it's like we want a strong man who does this, this, and this. It's like I think men don't know what to do with those things, and all we do is get messages over and over that says you suck at relationships, so just get better at them and listen to me. And then there's this idea that's like women will say, you know, if you want to connect with me emotionally or sexually, then connect with me emotionally. It's like, okay, so he does. And then it's like, no, not like that. So it's like, well, so then it's like, it's almost like they're in this place where it's like they'll make it an equation, do this plus this and you'll get this, but then actually not really. And so then men give up. It's like, well, forget it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do anyway. And I think all that's just a ranting a little bit of, I don't mean to rant to say it's unfair that men are asked to be better in relationships. I think men need to be better in relationships. We've built 4 years worth of podcasts on this idea. But I just think it doesn't work to just tell one side to be better in relationships. It implies women are already good at relationships. And I don't think you can have, I just don't think that's true. I don't think one is good and one is bad. I think both can make improvements. And it bugs me that we keep reinforcing over and over that men are the problem. But Matt, you were saying that you had that, what was it? What did you say? The fighting thing? Men get mad at women?
What?
I had to. It's funny.
Was it the reel that I played for you?
No, I want to get into that too. No, you said it was the quote. It's like that this woman said that when we get mad at men. Yeah.
Yeah. She said, she was just saying, here's a double standard I'm noticing, right? Like when we get mad at I think she said our husbands.
Yeah.
We want them to take it and they take it or whatever. And then when they get mad at us, we get mad at them for being mad at us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to your point, right? Yeah. When you were talking, I was like,
where's it going?
I think now we like look back on ads and magazine articles and recommendations for women in the 50s and early 60s probably, and we all cringe, right? Because it's like,
oh yeah,
he's had a hard day, you should have this done and this done and this done. And probably like every message to the guy back then was like, you work hard, you should do this and this and this. It's all like you deserve.
Yeah.
And for women it's like you owe to him, right?
Right.
And I don't know that we're like, I don't know where we're at in the pendulum swing now, but like you're saying, definitely like maybe a lot more messages saying men, like particularly because the dominant narrative is societally like you've been abusive and in control and dominant. Now you owe this allegiance to the relationship, and women, since you've been in this role so long, you deserve to have this kind of man in your life or something, right, that treats you this way. The hard part is there's truths all over the place in a lot of this stuff, but I wonder, are we moving towards some sort of equilibrium where, to your point, we can say like that reel about normal marital hatred, that we can, like as couples, we can go to a place of like, man, I really hate you, right? Or I really don't like this about you, or I really think like you're letting me down here. And then pretty quickly we move to like, I wonder what I'm doing to you that makes you feel that way too. And like, what if we were both looking at mutual accountability instead of like who owes who what and who's behind and who needs to catch up and who needs to do more work and who's already got it nailed. And I think generally speaking, that's just always going to be more false than it is true. There's not there for sure, like you're saying, and like sexual assault or like abuse or things like that. Absolutely. Like, you have to look at, doesn't really matter at this point what caused what you're doing is so destructive. We just need to focus all of our energy there. Right. But generally speaking, in relationships, yeah, it's like, and I wish it were much more, honestly, like even that reel that you were talking about, the peer pressure one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how to articulate this. I wish that men and women were just getting a whole lot more messages that were like, essentially like, take your eyes off the relationship, please. Right. Like, and look at, okay, that whole like third base centerfold thing. Like, have you gotten to third base with yourself? Right. Like, have you
taken your own bra off?
Have you like taken your mask off? Have you listened to yourself? Like, yes, you will make improvements there that will improve your relationships with other people. But I think the pull of the relationship is so strong, especially like we've talked about for guys, that it's like, it exists as a, if you don't focus here and improve here, you will lose it. Right. And so there's like all this fear, and we've talked about it before. It's like trying to go to third base with a guy. You're like, hey man, can you go here? And within like half a sentence or a sentence, we're already talking about what she wants from you.
Yeah.
And what she has said about, and maybe back to your point, like there's so many messages like that, that guys are kind of tuning into, or like just completely turning away from and getting really like angry about it. But yeah, I don't think that you get to where you're talking about without total buy-in on like, we both have accountability here, and our relationships with ourselves precede our relationship with each other. And do we even have any model for that? Or is it all like, I can't be happy until you treat me right, or like, I can't feel like I'm enough until you approve of me. I don't know.
Oh,
Those are
it's
my
interesting.
clenched teeth rants.
Well, it's funny because when you're saying it, I think it clarifies why I feel ranty about this. Like, even like, I don't, the sexual assault thing, it's like, I use it as an example of a pattern that exists where I actually think there are a lot of men, and I'm not speaking about sexual assault here, but I think there are a lot of men who are trying to improve, but just don't really know how to. They want to, but then there's that tipping you describe. I remember at times feeling like around like race and equality things that way, that it's like, or like the men and women thing, it's like, men were so terrible in many ways for so long to other races or to other, like to women, that now it's like, okay, now it's your turn for us to be terrible to you, which is, no one says it that way, but sometimes it's the message. I'm like, well, so when you're saying, I hope we're coming back to this kind of center place, I think my rant is, it's like, feels like we're not coming back to the center place. It's still this place where, I typed in too, Matt, into Chat GPT just to see what would it tell me. First I typed in like, the same thing, what could we talk about on a podcast? And it's always the same things. It's always take your masks off and vulnerability.
Yeah.
But then I asked,
Chat GPT still working on that for himself.
Yeah. Oh, Chat. But then it's kind of interesting because I told you guys this, but I just did a quick search. Like, I typed in what to do if I upset my wife. And, with Google now, it does a little summary at the top, in an AI summary. And it had one for men that was like, acknowledge what you did wrong, listen with empathy, apologize. And then it has a bunch of articles below that. When I typed it in for women and flipped it and said, what do I do if I upset my husband? There was no summary, which means there's not enough information. It's like, we can't summarize anything, so it's like, no woman says, what do I do if I upset my husband? I shouldn't say no woman, but it's not in the general consensus of thinking. And then I clicked on the very first article. What do you do after you upset or after you hurt your partner? the picture does look like the man screwed up. But also, I want to read these to you real quick. And you tell me if you get the same vibe I got. It says, there's a chunk that says what not to say. And it's got 4 things here. The first one is, it's not a big deal. The second one is, I can make this better for you. The third one is, you don't make sense. And the fourth one is, saying nothing.
I like the third. We'll try that one
You
out.
don't make sense. You don't
Somebody
make sense.
says to her, you don't make any sense.
But here's what I found funny about it is, to me, I read this and I thought, they're speaking to a dude. Those are all dude responses. Like,
I've heard that a lot from women, actually, though.
Which
Right.
one?
Which one?
It's not a big deal.
I don't hear that. I don't hear that near as much in my office. I hear
it a lot
get mad.
maybe in different ways, right? It's like,
Maybe.
I hear, and maybe that's where some of this gets difficult, because of what you're saying. It's like, if the man is afraid of her feelings, right? Then
Don't run away from your feet.
Right, like if anything happens to upset them, then the rule changes instantaneously to like oppressor victim. And so if a victim is saying to you, like, no, you're wrong and you're actually telling me things that are harmful to me, then the rule is stop, right? But I guess that's where I hear it more, is like a guy saying, well, I'm upset about this, and then it's like, you're wrong, right? Like, that's not what happened. I didn't do that. I didn't say that. I didn't, you took it the wrong way. Like, all the same words, but it's weird if you just took like transcripts of sessions and you de-identified the partners. I think you'd still be able to see some patterns, right? But I wonder if some things would look exactly the same. And to your point, it's like we're doing it to each other in different ways because of the way that we're socialized, and like, the things that make us different, right, might cloud that we're actually doing the exact same thing to each other. Like, we're all dismissing each other's feelings.
Yeah,
like,
in different ways.
Can you think of a time when like I've asked my clients this on several occasions, like, when was the last time you told somebody that you felt really upset and they just said, that sucks, I'm sorry, instead of like, well, why? What? Like, well, maybe that didn't happen that way. Maybe like any other response, right? And they're like, yeah, never. Or, oh, that happens every once in a while, right? And same thing. And I think it's also on the part of the speaker, right? It's like, I'm telling you my perception about the situation instead of actually telling you where my wound is. So now we're engaged in, did that happen or not? Or did it, did I say it that way or not? Instead of, but I do think, dismissal, everything on that list.
Yeah. Well, that's, maybe it is. It's kind of interesting because when I read it, I thought those just sound like they're saying, men, don't do these typical things you normally do. But maybe, because when you said socialize, I think maybe I've just been socialized too long in this field. Because when you said, if we de-identified who's saying what in a session, my first thought was, I'd be able to tell. But then I think, is that because that's what I'm looking for? I would think, okay, if that's an anxious response that goes like this, that's a female. If it's a defensive response that looks like shutting down, that's a male. Because it's not always, I have clients that are flipped from that, but I do it. And so maybe it's part, I do that. Maybe I'm doing the same thing. But this is like, sometimes I bring this up because it's what you're saying, Matt. It's like, I feel like we spend too much time looking for who's to blame in this, instead of saying, have I looked at myself to figure out, hey, wait, I need to work on this. And there are for sure tons of women out there who would say, hey, I think I need to work on this. The thing that bothers me is because of the way media and social media has so much power now in our thinking, that it feels like we're constantly reinforcing that women probably don't need to work. It's like, well, yeah, I need to work on my stuff, but he fill in the blank. And most men I will meet in my office, it's like, yeah, I know I probably did something wrong. I mean, I had that conversation twice today with dudes. Yeah, I probably did something wrong. I'm like, do you even know what it is? He's like, no. Now I don't. It's kind of funny. I feel like I just in my head, I think when at the beginning we were like, well, where are we going to end up with this? And in my mind, it's like, well, that place. I want more people over and over to think, hey, wait, what do I need to change here? Like maybe I'm responding in a way like I don't think we're slow enough to pause and say, what feedback am I getting and giving?
Yeah.
Like, why was this my response? I asked somebody today, like, if you like, are you asking this because you feel anxious, or is there something that you need to be paying attention to? Like maybe he's been giving you information. And it took her a while, but she's like, oh no, he has been doing this, which has been telling me this. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, that's true. I did do that. And it's like, oh, so there is feedback there. Sometimes you have to pause, and because otherwise he's going to say, well, she gets anxious about this. It's like, I know, but there might also be information there. But if you can't pause and say kind of what you're saying, Matt, like maybe I'm wrong in this. And that's where it feels like I get frustrated is it's not like I feel defensive. Like as a man, it's not fair that men are being blamed. I think, no, look, I believe men need to improve.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it deprives ourselves of the opportunity to see like, how can I become something better? In a weird, unrelated way. My daughter was asking me what I thought about assisted suicide. And I have lots of thoughts on that, actually. Because I've had times where I thought, hey, man, if I know like I've got 2 weeks left and it's just going to be pain the whole time, then yeah, I'm just out. But then there's a different part of me that says, if I believe in a bigger picture or some bigger like life after this one, it's like, do I want to deprive myself of going through something really difficult? Or should I say, let me go through this. Let me see what my capacity is, and I think that's the part where I'm saying, I think we deprive ourselves by saying this person needs to improve, not me. You're really missing out on an opportunity to become something better and a better version of yourself, while acknowledging, saying, I can say I did that wrong. It wasn't great. And I think right now we were so terrible to women in some ways that now we're robbing them of the opportunity to say, well, I need to improve. Because we don't have tons of podcasts out there for women saying we need to worry about women and their mental health. We got tons out there for men.
Which is funny.
Yep. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. I waited all this time to chime in just for that. You guys
Today
can go
on
on
Manspace.
again. Yep.
Oh, catch us next time. I mean,
like I had a guy reach out and he's like, do you have any good books on self-esteem? And before I even had a chance to respond, he goes, I've been looking, and he goes, but every single book I find seems geared towards women.
Oh, that's interesting.
He's like, I cannot find a book geared towards men on self-esteem.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those where I think, no, they probably do have tons of podcasts. Like one, the video that you saw, and admittedly, like, I think, well, yeah, I don't necessarily see stuff like that for women either. But then why would that show up in my feed? It's an algorithm. It knows you're a male. Why is it going to put in your feed something for a woman?
Well, and I check in with women, and they're like, no, I've never seen anything like that.
Right. I
think your other point is better. Like that, I'll decide which one's better. But just the idea that is the self-esteem thing. I think, oh no, that's interesting. It's different still, but it is saying like, because for that one, it's saying women empower yourselves. Let's improve your self-esteem, which is important.
Well, and it's like and this isn't like, because I agree. Like I've sat in sessions and had, where the wife has said, I just wish my husband would do this, and then the husband does that, and then the wife's like, well, don't do that, and it's like, well, this is the thing you've been asking me to do. Like, what are you talking about? Like we've talked about that before on here. All of us have experienced that in session. But then, like, just the other day, I was coming home from work, and there was a girl, that teenager of some age, and she happened to be crossing the street, and then she was walking in front of my house, like on my sidewalk. Well, she was going to be walking across my side, like my driveway, as I needed to pull in. So instead, I kind of pulled up to the curb before my driveway just to kind of be out of the way of other cars, right? So I'm not blocking traffic waiting for her. And I didn't want her to feel like she needed to hurry. So she sees me, and I watched her get visibly nervous because some middle-aged dude had just pulled up to the curb as she's trying to walk by.
Hey, little girl.
Yeah. And she was, like I said, teenager. She was actually coming back from a swimming pool. I'm sure that wasn't helping for her. And once she was past, I still at the moment hadn't really clicked into it. I pulled forward and into my driveway, and I always back in. And so I pulled out, and as she's watching me stop, I'm watching her check behind, because she's like, well, great, is this creep going to turn around and start following me? And I walked inside, and I looked at my wife and I go, I'm real sorry. And she's like, why? And I go, this is what I just experienced watching this girl. And I just felt so bad for her that she even had to worry about that as a possibility. Mm-hmm. And I think, right, but that's the world she lives in.
Yeah.
And so do I get the video where it's like, hey, dudes, be better? Well, yeah. Yeah. Because clearly there's still fear. Now, how much of that fear is being driven by narrative and socialization? Yeah, I don't know, but probably not enough of it. Probably most of it is being driven by experience. Yeah, most women know somebody who has been creeped on.
I mean, we've talked about this multiple times. That my wife and kid, they both, when they go out running, they have to think about, where am I running? What time of day is it? Do I have something on me? And I don't think about it. I just go out running.
Yeah.
And it's totally freaking messed up. The same thing is true. It's like any woman who goes on a date has to, at some point, consider in their head, hey, what's my out? How do I make sure I'm safe if this gets out of control? And dudes aren't thinking that, other than that date sucked,
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't mean to imply at all that there's not reason. I do think men need, the fact that this dude's in there talking about he's going to third base, just the idea of that's gross, dude, freaking keep, she's a freaking human. But it's the idea, I just get it. There is still, that's what I like, Matt, when you talk about hopefully we're finding this balance in between. It's we do have to find some space that's more effective, because otherwise we're just going to keep teeter-tottering all the time and saying, well, who's to blame now? It's kind of like what's happening politically, and there was the woke movement, as they call it, and then I don't know what we call the other side, the MAGA movement. I don't know, but it's we're just doing this. It's these guys did this, now we're going to undo it, and we're going to, it's we're just going back and forth and saying, how about we find a middle ground to say, hey, wait, I need to look at myself and say I need to change some stuff. It does. I mean, it sucks that some teenage girl has to be creeped out by the possibility that you could be a perv.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks for you and for her. I don't mean to suck. It sucks way worse for her.
Obviously, but no, it is it's one of those things where as a teacher, I used to have to worry about it.
Right. You can't interact naturally in some ways.
If any girl said anything, right, it would pretty much be my job.
So it changes the dynamic of the way you would interact,
mm-hmm.
which it just blows that's where we live. Because my sister, when she's asking that question about how do we change this narrative that boys think because they saw it they can take it, I was like, man, there are so many interweaving narratives that overlap on that we'd have to change, that we can't. We need to keep doing what we're doing. But anyway,
that's I think part of where I was going with all of this is there are those narratives. But you and I never grew up with that narrative.
No.
I feel pretty comfortable saying Matt didn't grow up with that narrative. Right. And so there is an aspect of how much of the narrative is just being blown up by.
Yes.
Right. How much of is it being perpetuated by?
In some ways, that means good thing we have these other narratives that tell men, hey, stop being gross and stupid and idiotic like this, because it's oh, okay, I need to not do that.
Yeah.
The danger is the ineffectivity. Is that a word? Ineffectiveness is that it becomes Well, that doesn't translate into a good, healthy relationship between two people because it lopsides. And then it's like men can listen to women say, you screwed up. He's like, okay, yeah, you're right. And then women say, hey, you screwed up. Or men say to women, you screwed up. And she's like, oh, yeah. And then, like, and that's not all. I mean, I'd say actually in my situation, my relationship is probably flipped. If I went to my wife and say, you screwed up, she'd be like, you're right, I'm sorry. And I'd be like, do you know who I am? I don't screw up. Just kidding.
Well, and that's, I think, because like, early, that just the question, the idea of how do we change this as a society? And I think we don't change it as a society, change it as an individual.
Yeah.
Like to me, I think, sure, I can talk about it. And I talk about it with men and women as often as I can. Granted, I have an easy platform.
Are you a therapist?
Shh, we're keeping that on the down low. Nobody knows. They haven't figured it out yet.
Not licensed.
Oh, that reminded me to tell you after about someone's a better psychologist than me. Okay. Anyway, so, but it was just this, it was the realization of, no, like with my daughters, they have some friends that, like they're fairly paranoid. Like the assumption is if there's a single dude, then he's creeping on them. And Jenner and I have had to be very active in saying, no, that's not even actually how most guys are. Like, most guys will protect you like their own daughter if you come in and say, I'm getting chased by a creep. Most guys will freaking, like, they'll put themselves between you and anybody, even though they don't know who you are. Because to us, it was important for us to realize, like, no, like, your dad's not that way, right? That's the conversation we had with our girls, is that dad's not that way. Lots of, your uncle's not that way, like the two of you get referenced a lot in my house.
Sweet.
Yeah. What?
Rob's that way though.
I mean, Rob, Matt, he's okay, but Rob's real dodgy.
Rob's a creeper.
No, but it's just that, right? Like as a reference point of like, no, not like, don't believe what these things are telling you. Because to me, I recognize I can't change the way society talks about it, but I have an immediate sphere of influence, and I can work there. I can change that narrative. I can look at, well, what needs to be different in my relationship? Like as you talked about this, I thought about the dynamic Jenner and I have, and what would that look like if something happened? Like, could we talk about it? Would one of us just sit there and take it? Would the other one get defensive and angry? I don't know. I mean, I do know, but I think, all I can do is look at myself, and look for opportunities to, change the narrative with people I interact with.
That's what I think of, this is my clarion call. Just I'm going to tell you about when I was watching some reel about HEB going out to, they were there first to help with the floods, the HEB humanitarian aid. And I saw some video of this guy being like, there it is, y'all. There's the cavalry. And I was like, I think you mean cavalry. He just keeps saying, there's the cavalry.
There's the cavalry from Chipotle.
Yeah. But I think because it's kind of funny. I think I do want to empower my daughter to feel confident enough and capable enough and brave enough that if she's in a situation on a date and feels like, I don't like where this is going physically, to be like, nope, thanks, guy. I'll walk home. Like, so that I don't want her to feel like, oh, I don't want to be mean. It's like, be freaking mean. Like, just say, no, thank you, dude. I'm out of here. Like, I want to make, I do. That's what's funny is I don't mean to say this to say, let's stop empowering women. I think, no,
Well, I
freaking
didn't
way.
think you
Like,
were.
no, yeah, I want that to happen. I think relationally, we keep missing marks where it's like, we need to look at this in a way that says, okay, if men are doing this, what are women doing that's leading men to do this? And if women are doing this, what are men doing that is like, I just wish people would look more, kind of like Matt, what you're saying. And this is maybe the take home today is for me is to look at yourself and say, okay, why am I doing this? Like, do I, like Mike, what you're saying, I look at my own relationship and say, am I doing that? Like if I do, I need to look at my relationship with my wife and say, if she came to me and said, hey, I'm mad at you, that I could say, okay, tell me what's going on. Or would I say, I mean, I'm Rob, so good luck with that. That's never actually happened, by the way, but I think I would want it to be like that, and thinking through like, how do I, as Matt, as you put it, like do my own work in that regard to see what's my, like, where's my place to shift and become better, rather than hearing, yeah, men are dumb in relationships. I feel like I have to compete with that constantly in session to say to a man, this is your relationship too. You can say, I don't think I'm happy with what's happening here. But most of what I see in my office is I have to like pull that out. I'm like, well, are you happy with this? Like, no, I mean, she's great. I'm like, I know you love her, man. That's not what I'm saying. Are you happy with what's going on? Well, no. Well, then freaking say that. Like, but we don't believe you can. That's not good listening. Or, like, or they'll get dismantled. And I've watched that happen many times. Someone did it today where he said it and then she dismantled it. It's like, I wonder why you don't want to say that. So there is a thing too that's like, well, if I'm going to speak up, you've got to be ready to accept and like listen to this. But anyway, I think I'm done with my ranting. Do you guys have more thoughts?
Oh,
you do. Sweet.
I had a thought when Mike was talking that
Rob wouldn't shut up.
No, I think I watched some other reels earlier this week that are kind of in line with what we've said before about sometimes like the problems with therapy, and how if we go to a place, especially in relationships where I guess with the theme of polarization again, right, or just like swinging from one extreme to another, where feelings are the most important thing in a relationship, then there are situations where you're going to make the wrong decision so as to protect feelings. And like feelings get hurt, right? Like feelings are not meant to be necessarily the guide for certain things, right? They're supposed to be the thing that connects us in certain ways for sure. But like if I go off of what you're saying, Mike, about and I agree, like my daughters, especially with their disabilities, are like, one daughter in particular, like really freaked out about guys being around, and she can't run away, right? She can't really like move fast and get away or fight away, so like we've had to have a lot of conversations about that, and how to like, one thing that I think we've tried to zero in on too is like, here's what a safe man looks like, right? And we haven't said it's somebody who never hurts your feelings, somebody who always says you're right, somebody who like doesn't have any like personhood and just absorbs you, right? But I think sometimes as men, the fear of being of appearing like that monster that gets like that exists, right? And that in some cases might be like anything as terrifying as like somebody who's going to come like shoot up a crowd of people or sexually assault women or things like that. Like understandably, we kind of like amplify our assessment of that threat in a way that we'll be able to detect even like beginning signs of it so we can get away. But there's an overlap there, I think, right? Where if I say something that hurts your feelings, right, that's as far as I go, right? Because I'm trying to tell you how I feel and who I am and trying to relate with you as a whole person. I never go into hurting you physically or anything like that, right? But don't mistake me crossing this line of hurting your feelings as I'm that guy, right? But if I fear that as a man, I will like shy away from that line at all costs. And then ironically, I become a very unsafe person for you because you don't know who I am, right? And you can't connect with me. You can't call on me. You can't expect me to show up when you really need me, right? So there's like this space where I feel like, to your point, we probably have to do a much better job as men and women talking about what like safety and growth and all of that actually look like, and challenging ourselves to kind of step into that space and get comfortable with it enough that we can define it and like and work together, right, to build relationships where we can be deeply connected to each other, and we can also be like really vulnerably accountable, and we share that value and burden as a couple. But yeah, everything we've said, just a thumbs up. I don't have a Mac, so I don't get the cool little
that might be the best summary to something in all our episodes so far.
It's a thumbs up, guys. Listen.
Episode 189. Everything we just said, it's a thumbs up.
I really just didn't know where to go from there, so that's what I came.
That's what next. If I ever write a book, I'm gonna you know, when you put on the back like other authors being, this book is revolutionary. Mine's gonna say everything I just wrote, it's a thumbs up. Well then, it's kind of funny. I was actually just thinking we could talk more about talking through stuff like this. Like in the beginning, I was like, I realize as I'm talking, I'm trying to describe some feeling I'm getting at, but it almost sounds like Rob's like, I mean, women are just overreacting about sexual assault.
That's a thumbs down.
That part was a thumbs down, Rob. But really just trying to like, what am I trying to get at here? And then as we talk more, being like, oh yeah, there's a balance in this. There is a necessary balance that exists right now. I just want to find a way to balance the other parts. And then maybe I'm getting impatient. But anyway, everyone get excited because next week you get to hear all about how we need to improve.
Don't forget, gentlemen, to bring your jockstrap and cup for that episode, because you will be getting nut tapped.
Well then, come back and find out next time on the Manspace. Tap, scoop, slap.